Crypto exit plan. Right now, the crypto markets are ripping towards the upside, meaning that every single day your crypto portfolio is worth more money than it was yesterday. And by the end of this year, there's a good chance that your crypto portfolio is worth a lot of money. However, unless you sell your coin somewhere near the top of the bull market, there's a good chance that you not only lose your gains, but also you lose your complete original investment. And that's something we don't want. Therefore, in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how to build a crypto exit plan so that you can exit somewhere near the top of the market. I'm going to show you how to identify signals that we are somewhere near the top of the market so that you can completely exit and achieve the goals that you've set for yourself. Do me a favor, hit the like button. Let's get into today's video. Now guys, I get it. You've been looking at the crypto charts and over the past few months, they've been falling towards the downside. We've been going up for 1 or 2 weeks and you're thinking, why the hell are you giving me an exit plan right now? Well, I'm giving you an exit plan for a very good reason. And it's not because the market makers are against you. It's not because the exchanges are fighting a battle against you. It's not even because the VCs or the influencers are playing games or little Timmy down the road. It's all because you are your own worst enemy. And that's because you're a human, which makes you an emotional person. And unfortunately, once the market starts to go higher and higher, you're going to get more and more emotional, which is why right now we need to think about an exit plan before we start to get too hyped up and we start planning to quit our jobs and buying the Lambo and all the other stuff. Okay, so that's why we're doing this right now. In order to avoid the biggest traps in this game, we need to understand the biggest trap we have by being a human, which is emotion. How do we avoid being emotional? Well, by having a plan and sticking to that plan. First things first, when making any plan, we need to understand what the plan is trying to achieve. Okay, if the plan is to achieve making more money, then that's just dumb because you could make 20 cents more or you could make $2 million more. Unless you know exactly how much money you're going to make, then there's a good chance that you're not going to make anything. However, instead of just saying to yourself, I need to make $5,000 or I want to make $10,000 or I want to be a millionaire, you need to understand exactly why you want to make that money. Why? Well, if you were in the market back in December, you probably realized over the past few months that you've lost quite a lot of money that could have been given to something more useful. Maybe that's paying off your mortgage or paying off some rent or something else that you could have done with that $2,000 or $20,000 or whatever it might be. Therefore, you need to attach the amount of money to something tangible in real life. This is going to allow you to not separate the meaning of money from what it truly is worth. Okay, because I lost a lot of money over this period of time as well. And recently when I was trying to go and buy cars and things like that, I was like, well, actually, if I hadn't lost that money in that stupid time that I sent some AOS to the wrong wallet, that could have paid for a car and probably some more. But I got careless because I forgot about the utility of what that money's worth. So choose a goal. It might be to have $10,000 to buy a car, to buy a holiday, to pay off your loans. I don't care. Okay, whatever it is, but make sure that money is for something. Now, make sure as well that the goal that you set yourself isn't unrealistic. Now, if you've been in crypto for a long time, you probably have a bit more of an idea how much you can kind of aim for. Luckily, Bitcoin has pulled back quite a lot recently, and that meant that the altcoins pulled down a lot. You probably think that that wasn't that lucky, but actually it was because it's given you a chance to 1, learn a lesson, and 2, also to be able to accumulate more coins. And if you've been accumulating down in these zones, you've got a good chance to be able to see some good returns once the market pumps up towards the upside. And from these kind of areas, it should be fairly reasonable to be able to anticipate a 10x or more if you put in a little bit of work and understanding of what's going on. Now, I get it. If you've got $1,000 or less or whatever it is, you might be thinking, well, okay, maybe 10x isn't really enough. Don't get trapped in thinking that 10x isn't enough. 10x is enormous and it can really change the game for you. Now, you might not be able to make much money from your 10x, but let me just give you a concept to think about right now. And you need to think about this in a longer term plan rather than in the bull market head. Let's say in the last bull market, you put $1,000 into Bitcoin, somewhere around down here, and you make yourself like $3,000 in the bull market. Very conservative, you make yourself like 3x. You then take that 3x and you put into another coin, like Gala Gaming or whatever. It goes and does like a 2 or 3x on top of that because you got in late, but you still make some money. You're now sat on like 6 or 7 grand. And then if you took 6 grand somewhere out the top here and you put that 6 grand back in down here, guess what? 6 grand does a 5x. You're now sat on 30k, and you could have been sat on 30k in December, now with the potential to earn another 5 to 10x ahead, which means that you're now looking from your original 1k investment a few years ago at having $150,000 to $300,000. What makes you rich in crypto isn't necessarily buying the right coin that's going to amp up and make you loads of money. That's like a luck thing. But what makes you rich in crypto is being able to get in somewhere near the lows, ride it to somewhere near the highs, get out, and then enter back in to ride somewhere near the highs. Okay, it's this repeat in the cycle, this pullback, that gives you such an opportunity to be able to amplify your gains. Okay, so don't panic that you're not going to be able to be a millionaire at the bottom of here, because the next bull market top will be somewhere in like 2030, which is not really that far away. So just keep it realistic. Okay, if you keep it realistic, you've got a chance of achieving it. And if you're unrealistic, one, you're going to take bets that are too dangerous and too risky, and you're going to end up losing. And two, you're not going to sell up in time, because you're going to be waiting to be able to get that money. And if it doesn't arrive, you're still going to be stuck in, and then you're going to end up with even less than you originally had. Okay, so be patient. Okay, so now we got our goal. We then need to start thinking about an exit plan. And what does an exit plan really look like? Well, first of all, if we achieve the goal that we've set for ourselves, like let's say I want to achieve $5,000 and I get towards $5,000 in like the next few months, then guess what? Pull out at least 90% of that money you've made. Okay, don't worry yourself that the crypto market might carry on going up. That's why you leave your 10% in. Okay, but that money you wanted for something, use it and go and put it into something useful and effective. Okay, and then, you know, go and work hard and earn some more money over the next few years. And when the next bull market comes around, not only are you smarter, have you practiced some good discipline, but also you then get a chance to be able to get in somewhere lower down and then ride up once more and make some more money on top of what you've already achieved here. Okay, now you leave the 10% in because obviously it allows you to kind of continue playing and avoid kind of like FOMOing all of your money back in. But to be honest, what I would suggest is once you've exited this crypto bull market, is throw your computer into the sea and your phone and everything else and go bury it in the garden and don't look at the charts for at least another like 4 months. Why would you do that? Well, because calling the top of the market is very, very tricky. And I'm going to explain that to you in a way that is probably very raw in your mind right now. If you've been someone who got out of crypto somewhere during this kind of phase here, and then have now kind of asking me, is it too late to buy SUI? You're going to be one of these people. Now, you're asking, is it too late to buy SUI? Because you were wondering when the bottom was going to come in and you didn't know. So you didn't want to be in the market because you didn't know whether the bottom was going to come in. In the same way that you didn't know when the bottom is going to come in, you also didn't know when the top was going to be here. And there's a good chance that you don't really know exactly when the top's going to be for the bull market. There is indicators that can get you fairly close to the top, but not the exact top. And if you look back to the top of the last bull market, Bitcoin topped on the week starting the 8th of November. Solana topped out the week before that. Ethereum topped out the same week as Bitcoin. BNB did as well. But other coins like Gala Gaming went in 2 weeks later and put in this massive candle towards the upside. Okay, look at it. 2 weeks, it did 836% after Bitcoin and Ethereum had already topped out. Now, this is probably where the majority of people in crypto lost their money in the last bull market. I guarantee that there was tons of people who made a load of money in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and whatever, and they sold down well near the top of the market. Guess what? They probably went off and had like a nice fun time. They looked at Bybit, the notification bell went on. They got into Gala Games when it was shooting up like this, and they aped in thinking, wow, I could just make a little bit more here. And guess what? In a week following the top of Gala Games, it fell 56%. So many people would have got absolutely destroyed in this. When you exit the market, stay the hell away from it, okay? Your body's going to be craving that dopamine and hype that you've been experiencing from that bull market in front, but it's your time that you have to distance yourself from it. Otherwise, you will fall victim to doing something very stupid, like getting caught up in something like this. So how do we know when the top of the bull market is going to arrive? Any idea? Well, I ask you this question. I work in crypto every single day, all day, every day, okay? I watch a lot of people's content. I talk to people quite regularly. I follow Twitter. I look at what's going on. I see people far smarter than me who know far more than me about what's happening in the markets and global macroeconomic environment. I know people who know a lot less than I do, and I look at everyone's ideas of where the market's going, and guess what? They're all different, which means no one really knows whether Bitcoin's going to top out at 120k or whether it's going to top out at 250k or even higher or whatever. Looking into price and price prediction and just listening to someone in front of you isn't going to get you out of these markets cleanly, okay? Because even if I'm telling you to be able to get out of the market somewhere near the top, you're probably not going to listen because your emotions are far stronger than what I tell you. I was telling people to get into the market the other day. I made a video about SUI down here and people just called me an idiot, okay? It's absolutely fine. I just understand that the emotions are more powerful than what someone else can tell you, okay? So you need to be responsible for this and to be able to identify tops, and it's not that easy. Now, what does a top look like? First things first, we do have one good indicator that can help us, and I know I've said it to you all the time, but this is the M2 money shift for Bitcoin, okay? You can go to tradingview.com and you can put on the M2 money shift for Bitcoin. Now, if you put on this and you make sure that all of these separate ones are clicked, then you'll see that over the past year or so, the Bitcoin price has very closely followed this, okay? ups and downs. There was a little bit of deviation in this area, but apart from that, it pretty much called the bottom of the market. It called every peak and every trough with around a 10 to 12 week delay. This is going to give you a rough idea of when the market's going to start to top out. Now, as we look back to the last bull market, the ones of you who are still paying attention will realize that the M2 money supply continued to climb towards the upside long beyond the top of the Bitcoin bull market. And in fact, this doesn't sell off until the 20th of June, by which point the Bitcoin price was back at 20K. If you got out of crypto down here, you are okay, because you would have lost all of your money during this period of time, because while Bitcoin fell that hard, you better believe that some of the altcoins fell even harder. So how do we identify what shows this top? Well, I've told you this before if you've been watching my channel or subscribed, and it will give you a good indication of what's going on. Now, effectively, this starts to curve off, and it curves off for one good reason. Now, I used an analogy before about when I used to be in the army. I was at the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst, trained to be an officer in the British Army. During my training there, we had to do the log race, okay, where the platoon carries the log around the camp in a race against other platoons. On that log, you have lots of individuals who are carrying the log. The fitter the people are, and the more people kind of push the log, the faster the logs go. But obviously, within that platoon, there are people who are not as fit as others, some people who don't like running as much. You get the picture. As those people start to drop off, the log will start to slow down. While the log will, however, still keep moving, it loses momentum. This is the log, and as you can see from something I'm about to show you, it loses momentum as people drop off the log. Now, as we can see, all of these inputs are different contributors to the global M2. You've got US, EU, China, Japan, UK, Canada, Australia, India. Now, I've noticed after kind of back testing this and studying this, and you need to do this as well. Okay, go to indicators, M2, money, and select the top one here. You need to be able to go and check some of these against the charts. Now, just to cut this video down and not make it too long, I've identified that there were certain indicators that were flashing that the top of the last bull market was in, and one was on the EU money supply, okay, where you can see that initially we get a top here, the price then picks up, which is this run here, and then you can see it tops out. It doesn't put in a higher low again, it just starts to tail off towards the downside. And you can see that somewhere, once we get these next highs in, you can see that the price starts to decline. But actually, if you just use this EU indicator, it wouldn't be enough. So we need confluence with this. If I give you another one, it's going to make everything very clear for you. Now, that would be the Japan M2. As you can see, the Japan M2 is very telling indeed, right? Because we get this high up here, and then we roll down into this low. M2 picks up quickly. So you could have got back in here and maybe stayed in the markets till somewhere around here. But as soon as this started to sell off very strongly, this would have been a good indicator that we were somewhere near the top of the market. And I'm not saying direct to the exact day. It could be somewhere within a week or within 4 weeks of the top, you're going to get fairly reasonable exit. Trying to sell the exact top, you're never going to do it. Okay, it's never going to happen. You might get incredibly lucky. Chances are you don't do it. This is giving you a good indicator of when the market's going to start to cool off, because this is the driving force behind the bull markets, okay? What we're looking for as well on the way up is if we do get some significant pullbacks, not just like this, okay, this is just chop. Ignore this, it's too much noise, just stay in, okay? However, if you start to see big pullbacks like this, multi-week pullbacks in the M2, which we're not seeing right now on the global M2, then you have maybe a chance to pull some cash out, okay? Right now you can see up until at least July, there's never more than like a 1 week pullback, okay? 1 or 2 week pullback. These multi-week pullbacks are what cause this. Multi-weeks are kind of going sideways and dying off. It causes this, okay? Particularly within the individuals here. It gives you an indicator. So stay in the markets. As long as this keeps rising sharply, as soon as this starts to tail off, start to think about preparing for your exit. Now, there are other indicators in addition to the M2, because there's other people who are paying very close attention to these liquidity models who aren't people like you and me. It is the big institutions, the big banks. They are smarter. They know that this is the liquidity that's driving the markets, and they know that once they start to hit towards the top of the bull market, they need to cash out potentially billions of dollars that they've been putting into the markets in areas like this, in areas like this. And in order for them to be able to sell billions and billions of dollars without the price collapsing on them, like when Mantra tried to sell too many coins the other day, you need to convince the general public that there is good opportunity still left in the markets, at which point all of the media around the world is going to be pumping all the bullish news into crypto. They're going to be telling you that this bull market's different. They're going to be telling you that crypto is going to go to these highs. They're going to be telling you that Bitcoin is going to reach 300K this year. They're going to be telling you everything. And if you go into any group and you try and discuss this, people are going to call you an idiot. They've been brainwashed to telling you that the market's going to go higher, when everybody is begging you to know which coin to be getting into. When you're going to the barbers and everyone's talking about crypto, when your taxi driver's talking about crypto, when your grandma's talking about crypto, when friends you know who have never had any money start to talk to you about crypto investments, now that's time to get out the market. So with a combination of all of these factors, and when you get somewhere near hitting your goal, it's time to just get out, okay? And it's time to get out and walk away from all of this. It's quite difficult to walk away because in your mind, it's not going to make sense. In the same way, it didn't make sense in your mind to be buying when Donald Trump and everyone is screaming for a recession. They're screaming for a recession because they're trying to get you out the market. In the same way at the top, they're screaming for a crazy bull market to try and get you in while they're selling. They want to get the money from you here. They want you to drop the price for them down here and provide the liquidity for them to get in. And up here, they want you to buy in to provide the liquidity for them to get out. Okay, so typically at the top of bull markets, you'll see JP Morgan releasing news articles about how big Bitcoin will go. You will see on your phone that the #1 downloaded app will be like Binance, Coinbase. You'll probably see Donald Trump shouting about crypto every single day. You'll probably hear about Paris Hilton starting some NFT craze again, and various other YouTubers buying NFTs and all this other stuff to generate stuff that goes along with crypto crazy bull markets, okay? This is your chance to get out of markets, okay? There is no set day you must get out on the 23rd of November. Okay, it doesn't work like that. People will tell you that that's true, okay? But in my opinion, your best bet is to try and escape somewhere around when you get correlations between the M2 money supply selling off, between max kind of hype and euphoria in the markets. Bitcoin fear and greed index will be in extreme levels. You want to be cautious of that. And then it's time to get out. Now, within this kind of bull market as well, just to make things even more difficult and more confusing, certain coins will start to pump at different times. Now, if you're involved in a coin that has a very, very good run before we hit the top of the bull market, then also, again, you can start to see that euphoria taking place in that coin. Now, if Bitcoin hasn't topped out and the overall market's still not really in euphoric phases, if you see a coin suddenly all of a sudden go up and blow up to massive levels, like if Sui suddenly does a 10x tomorrow, then you better believe I'm going to get out of that coin, okay? Because that coin is being pumped up by whatever else it is out there. Again, you're going to have people trying to pump people up and excite people. That, again, is time to take profits. When everybody is in the group talking about a coin, it's a good one to avoid. When someone's asking, is it too late to get into that coin? Don't you dare get into it. Start to take profits as little Timmy's buying back in. Now, the last kind of indicator I found for kind of top of the last bull market is exchange tokens. Exchanges have the biggest volume. They are the ones who probably make some of the most money during bull markets. And they typically show the tops of markets really quite clearly, okay? This is Binance Smart Chain, which is the Binance coin. And you can see it tops out perfectly up here, okay? This kind of blow-off top phase, very, very strong final pushes towards the upside, should be cause for concern. When Binance Smart Chain starts going vertical, it means that everyone is using Binance, pumping money into Binance Smart Chain to be able to use, you know, the exchange and everything else. You can go and look at MEXC, which is the MEXC token, which again, you can see basically goes completely vertical sometime into November, a little bit later than the others, but ideally, this would have been your blow-off top phase. All the other exchanges are basically showing the same thing because the exchanges are looking very, very closely at the data. They are very aware of where the bull market top is, usually more than not. They've been pumping up their own coins and things like that. As soon as they get somewhere near the top, they're going to start selling their coins off aggressively to try and lock in as much profit as possible from that bull market. It's an absolute dog-eat-dog world, guys. If you are not prepared for it, it's going to chew you up and you're going to be wrecked, okay? So do me a favor. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, notification bell turned on. Obviously, I'm going to do my best to try and hold your hand through this bull market ahead, but don't just sit there and wait for me to tell you when to get out, because if I'm wrong, then you get screwed. You don't want to be screwed. Make sure you're taking ownership of this, okay, real ownership, and doing your own research and understanding all the things I've talked about, because then that puts you in a really good stead, a really good chance of making some good money in this bull market, and it will make it enjoyable. There's nothing enjoyable about being a bag holder. Now, if you're feeling like crypto is overwhelming and there's loads of information going everywhere and you don't know which way to turn, well, that's because crypto is overwhelming and there's a huge amount of information going on. Therefore, I recommend joining the Moon House, which is linked down below in the description. It's the VIP members group of the House of Crypto. And in this group, myself and 2 other full-time experts spend a lot of our time providing all the most relevant news and alpha that we see in the markets. As well as that, we call altcoins and talk about the different altcoins that we're personally buying into and talk about the different research that's convinced us to get into those altcoins. So you can see just the other day in those dips, we were looking to get into Ondo, which has been booming towards the upside, Beam, Pendle having some really good runs, Peak, and others. Not only that, but once every week, we also conduct a live Zoom call where we basically run through a Q&A session. You also get to watch over my shoulder as we go and conduct research into crypto. You get to see behind the scenes of all the different coins and things that we've been buying and kind of look at us as we trade our way through these markets. We also have a lot of discussion about where we're kind of anticipating markets heading. Not only that, if you've got any questions and things like that about coins and cryptos, you can ask in the comments and questions section. And not only have we got 3 full-time experts, including myself, but we also have a really passionate community of crypto lovers who are also doing huge amounts of research and sharing all of their information in here as well. So this is probably one of the best communities out there, in my opinion, to be able to guide you through this bull market ahead. Now, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video and found it useful. Do me a favor, hit the like button. Let me know down below in the comments any video you want me to make in the future, any types of tutorials, etc. Also, go and check out my other channel, The School of Crypto. I've been putting out more tutorial-based content over there. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you very soon in another video. Bye-bye.